Part number something of multifamily maintenance stuff that I don't like. Number 1, wax rings. Toilet rings create a seal in between a toilet and the floor. The market is dominated by wax rings because they are cheap. I prefer foam rings because they won't leak if you shift the toilet too much during installation or if the floor has a flex or is out of level. They're also reusable and don't create a sloppy mess for the next guy who removes the toilet. The man-hours required to clean up an old wax ring will pay for at least 2 foam rings. If you need to use a wax ring, use an extra thick one, always. The standard thickness wax rings that come with toilets should just be thrown out immediately. Number 2, accent walls. A lot of apartment buildings have accent walls, wallpaper, and textured drywall in order to create visual interest in hallways and common areas. Often, many different shades and tones of gray and beige are used to create illusions of depth and distance. Unfortunately, most construction companies don't keep any records of which beige goes where, so the hallways end up really splotchy within a year as damage is repaired with the wrong shade of off-white. If your entire property is painted with one shade from one brand, then it's going to look new forever. Textured drywall and wallpaper are even more difficult to repair and usually require replacing large sections due to minor damage. There are many other ways to create visual interest that aren't such a pain to maintain. You can just raid a Goodwill and throw up some paintings and bookcases, or use modern trim detailing that is really durable and protects your drywall. Number 3, fiberboard or wood windows or window jamb extensions. Try to keep wood as far away from windows as possible. I was at a property with 2 or 3 year old wooden windows, and most of them had mold, despite a thick polyurethane finish. I tried sanding and refinishing them, but the mold was too deep. Mold on wooden windows often results from a condensation at the corners of the glass panes within the wooden assembly, where expansion and contraction wears away any waterproof finish that may have been present. Another of my properties had fiberboard jamb extensions that were melted into a sludge because of improper exterior flashing and an absence of overhangs, but they would have probably molded anyway because all windows condense. Everything in and around a window should be an inorganic material, or at least aluminum clad. Number 4, caulk strips. Caulk strips are the third grossest piece of rookie crap that I have ever encountered. Their beveled edges collect dust and moisture, and they're basically never installed straight because experienced people don't install them. For every situation where you might want to install a caulk strip, there is an alternative that is more aesthetically pleasing, higher performing, and easier to install straight. If the gap in between your tub and vinyl flooring is too large to caulk, then you should fire your flooring guy and use either a vinyl cove base or heat PVC quarter round with a heat gun and bend it while it's still flexible. If you have a large gap in between your tub and your tile, then you need to fire your tile guy and just use more caulk. I've been replacing a lot of the caulk strips lately on the joint between LVP floors and sliding balcony doors. The subfloor is concrete, so there isn't much to nail into, but I've been able to pin nail the corners of red oak quarter round into the trim at the sides of the door, and then adhere the center with power grab. Installing red oak trim is faster, cheaper, and has a greater longevity than a floppy rubber extrusion.